Imagine a world without war. Seems impossible, right? Throughout history, humanity has been marked by conflict and bloodshed. The concept of war, a state of armed conflict between societies, has shaped the course of history, influenced cultures, and even defined entire eras. From the ancient times of wielding swords and shields to the modern age of nuclear weapons and cyber warfare, the methods may have evolved, but the essence of war remains the same. It's a grim testament to our nature as a species, a reflection of the power struggles, territorial disputes, ideological differences, and the ceaseless quest for dominance. The impact of war on human society is profound and far-reaching, often bringing about drastic changes, whether for better or for worse. So let's delve into the annals of history, examining the battles that have left indelible marks on the world. Join us as we journey through time, exploring the top 10 most significant wars in human history. We begin in the ancient city-states of Greece with the Peloponnesian War, a war that spanned nearly 3 decades, from 431 to 404 BC. This conflict was a power struggle between the two leading city-states of ancient Greece, Athens, the sea power, and Sparta, the land power. The root cause, a classic case of fear and power imbalance. Athens, with its growing influence, became a threat to Sparta. The resulting war was a testament to the ancient Greek saying, "War is the father of all things." The war's impact on ancient Greece was profound. It brought an end to the golden age of Athens, led to the rise of Macedonia, and dramatically altered the political landscape of Greece. In the aftermath, the philosophical inquiries of Socrates and the tragedies of Euripides found fertile ground. The Peloponnesian War, a clash of titans that forever shaped the cradle of Western civilization. Next up, we travel to the Mediterranean, where Rome and Carthage vie for dominance in the Punic Wars. These wars, spanning over a century, were ignited by the clash of two burgeoning powers seeking control of the Mediterranean. On the one side stood Rome, a rising power with a disciplined military. On the other, Carthage, an established maritime empire with a formidable navy. The cause? A classic tale of power, ambition, and the desire for expansion. These conflicts were no mere skirmishes, but full-scale wars involving tens of thousands of soldiers, elephants, and fleets of ships. They were wars that would shape the destinies of Rome and Carthage in ways neither could have foreseen. The fallout was monumental. Carthage, once a powerful city-state, was reduced to rubble, while Rome emerged as the dominant power in the Mediterranean, setting the stage for its transformation into an empire. The Punic Wars, a bitter struggle that birthed an empire. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, where England and France are locked in the 100 Years' War. A dynastic struggle. This was a war born out of territorial disputes, the result of a complex web of alliances, marriages, and inheritances that left the English crown with vast estates in France. The main factions, the House of Plantagenet from England and the House of Valois from France, two powerful families vying for control over the French throne. This war spanned generations, from 1337 to 1453, and its battlegrounds were the fertile lands of France. The 100 Years' War had profound repercussions. For England, it marked the end of their territorial ambitions in France. For France, it sparked the process of centralization and consolidation of power, setting the stage for the rise of the modern French state. The 100 Years' War, a marathon of conflict that shaped two nations. Across the Atlantic now to the American Civil War. This was a conflict not of nations, but of brothers, a struggle that emerged from deep-seated divisions within the same country. For 4 long years, from 1861 to 1865, the United States was split in two, the Union of the North against the Confederacy of the South. The war's catalyst was a complex tangle of economic, political, and social differences, but at its core lay the contentious issue of slavery, a practice the North sought to abolish, while the South fought to preserve. The American Civil War was a turning point in the nation's history. It ended slavery, changed political landscapes, and cost more than 600,000 lives. Yet it also paved the way for the United States to emerge as a unified and stronger nation, a beacon of democracy and freedom. The American Civil War, a fraternal conflict that redefined a nation. On to the early 20th century, where World War I engulfs the globe. This conflict, also known as the Great War, was sparked by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria in 1914. A web of alliances quickly drew in nations from across the globe, resulting in a brutal stalemate on the Western Front between the Central Powers and the Allies. This was a war of trenches, gas attacks, and heavy artillery. It was also a war that introduced new technologies of destruction, including tanks and aircraft. The repercussions of the Great War were vast. It redrew the map of the world, led to the rise of new powers, and sowed the seeds for future conflicts. The war also had a profound impact on society and culture, from the role of women to the arts. World War I, the first global conflict that changed the world forever. Now, we venture into the darkest chapter of human history, World War II. Sparked by a cascade of political tensions and territorial ambitions, this global conflict consumed the world from 1939 to 1945. The war pitted the Axis powers, primarily Germany, Italy, and Japan, against a coalition of nations known as the Allies, led by the United States, United Kingdom, and Soviet Union. World War II was more than a war among nations. It was an ideological battle, a struggle between fascism and democracy. Its scale was unprecedented, touching nearly every corner of the globe, and its consequences were profound. This war redefined our understanding of humanity's capacity for both destruction and resilience. It led to seismic shifts in global power, setting the stage for the Cold War and fundamentally reshaping the world's political and cultural landscape. World War II, a war that brought humanity to the brink. Next, we head to the Korean Peninsula, where the Korean War rages. The year was 1950, and the world was still catching its breath from the devastation of World War II. The Korean War erupted from the ideological clash between the North, backed by communist powers like the Soviet Union and China, and the South, supported by the United States and United Nations forces. This war was not just a war of weapons, but a war of philosophies, a struggle between communism and democracy. It was a war that saw the use of jet aircraft for the first time and set the stage for the Cold War that would follow. The war left the Korean Peninsula divided along the 38th parallel, a division that remains today. The impact of this war on Korea was profound, and the echoes of this conflict are still felt today. The Korean War, a forgotten war that shaped the modern world. We move now to the jungles of Vietnam, where the Vietnam War unfolds, a conflict that spanned 2 decades, from 1955 to 1975. It was a war rooted in ideological differences. On one side stood the North Vietnamese, backed by the Soviet Union and China, espousing communism. On the other, the South Vietnamese and their allies, including the United States, championing democracy. The cause? A struggle for control, a fight for unification, and the specter of the domino theory that suggested if one Southeast Asian nation fell to communism, others would follow. The war was marked by guerrilla warfare, extensive bombing campaigns, and a heavy civilian toll. The aftermath saw Vietnam unified under communism, but at a devastating cost. Millions of lives were lost, and the land was scarred by defoliation and unexploded ordnance. The Vietnam War, a conflict that still echoes today. Finally, we reflect on these wars and their impacts on human history. From the strategic naval battles of the Peloponnesian War, through the epic clashes of the Punic Wars, to the protracted sieges of the 100 Years' War, warfare has evolved dramatically. The American Civil War brought the horrors of war to a new continent, while World War I and World War II showcased the devastating potential of modern industrialized conflict on a global scale. The Korean War and the Vietnam War, meanwhile, highlighted the geopolitical complexities and human costs of Cold War-era conflicts. These wars have not only shaped the course of nations, they've shaped the lives of countless individuals, influencing our culture, our values, and our understanding of humanity itself. They have shown us the depths of our capacity for destruction and the heights of our potential for bravery, innovation, and resilience. Wars have shaped our world, for better or worse. As we look back, we hope for a future where humanity can resolve conflicts without resorting to violence.